finish the regular season at home and you get to celebrate three seniors. So just talk a little bit about what this weekend means specifically, just heading into postseason.
Yeah, I'm excited about this weekend, especially to get to celebrate our seniors. And it's been a great run with those kids, and they've done such a phenomenal job. So that's going to be fun to have them and their families here and celebrating them. And, thinking to the last home series we had and the success we've had and the crowd was great. We expect that same thing this weekend, having the opportunity to play Arkansas, who's clinched the SEC championship. So, every time you play these teams, you see it as an opportunity, just games to build your resume and to get better.
So what has happened in the last 5 games, Joe? What has happened? How do you turn that around?
Yeah, it's been a rough go, no question about it, the last 5 games. We've been in, 4 out of the 5 games and continue to have challenges trying to figure out ways to win. And, it takes a hit on our players. It takes a hit on their confidence. And it's really important for our kids to be able to bounce back. We go on the road last night and lose a couple, which was really, really disheartening. And yet we have 8 players show up this morning for voluntary hitting and pitching. So I'm proud of these kids for not giving up, and it hasn't been easy on them.
Postseason wise, what is this week? I mean, how big is this weekend? I know your RPI dropped after last night.
Yeah.
Obviously, Coach, so are you still comfortable, or is this like, hey, we need to go get 2 or 3? And
Yeah.
Still good this weekend.
Yeah, we really hurt ourselves losing those games last night at Houston. And not a knock against them, but they're an 88 RPI team, and they're in our region. So I feel like had we gone there taking care of business, that we would be really comfortable getting into postseason, knowing that Arkansas is a really tough team. But the resume and no bad losses and any of that, but losing last night really puts us in a really tough position, and we would have to come out and really have a lot of success here this weekend and into the conference tournament, I think. And I don't know, I think we went from being a team that's going to be in to being a bubble team, and nobody wants to be a bubble team. So then you got people, then it becomes so much more subjective. And I feel like had we gone to Houston and taken care of business, then it's objective, and we're a team that's in for sure. So, men's basketball knows what this feels like. Nobody wants to be on the bubble at this time of year.
Pressure, the right word this weekend, or no? You don't like to use that word?
We're not talking about that. I think teams being able to process pressure kind of separates the great teams and the good teams. And we've had our challenges with that. So for us, you just lay it all out there. The game's supposed to be fun to play, and you're getting the opportunity to play in this beautiful stadium with a great crowd, and take advantage of it. And celebrate those seniors. Go out there and play your hearts out and get those kids a win. So that's kind of what we're focused on.
So when you look at this Arkansas team, why are they so good?
They're just so darn consistent. They pitch well. They can pitch by committee, but they've got a couple of kids that just can, sustain themselves for game after game. They can use one pitcher in 2 games and be just fine. They hit well. They designed this team for mashing balls. The ball flies in Arkansas at their field, and they've done a really nice job offensively, just hitting through their lineup. And defensively steady. I think of all the teams we'll play this year, this will be the most balanced, consistent team that we'll face. They don't have highs and lows. They really keep themselves together. They have good senior leadership. They're an older team. And just you see what they're doing week in and week out is impressive.
Joe, in lieu of what happened at James Madison, how has softball changed since you played? I mean, are players having more pressure? Just can you talk address that?
Yeah. First of all, just heartbreaking what happened with the player at James Madison, and it's shaken all of us. It's shaken our coaches across the country and players, and it does feel different from when I played. I mean, this was a long time ago, but there was a naivete. You just played. It was fun to play the game, and you grew up playing a game you loved. And so now I just, it just feels like a lot of pressure for kids. You know, you look at her and, okay, will you remind me her name?
Lauren Burnett.
Lauren Burnett. So, yeah, when we think about Lauren Burnett and you think about what a great weekend she had. She was player of the week, and you realize that in the end doesn't necessarily matter. So when we're talking about almighty wins and accomplishments and accolades, what does it matter if our players and our coaches and our people don't feel emotionally and mentally healthy? So it's been a tough go for kids. I've noticed it for sure over the last few years that it's a challenge for our players. They feel a lot of pressure. I think social media probably has a lot to do with that. They're highly criticized, and that's hard for them to process. You know, I think about as a coach, you know, we hear criticism all the time, and we're at an age where we can process that. And for a young player whose brain is still developing and emotionally still developing, really hard for them to process that. So, you know, my heart goes out to JMU, but to every program, because every program's got kids that feel overwhelmed, feels desperate, and you just want to make sure you take care of those kids. And, you know, I'm sure James Madison has done everything to take care of their kids, and you realize that at the end of the day, you don't have as much control over it as you'd like to.
So I know Ross has talked about that a little bit and things in place, and I know you've got counselors and things like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if you change that or just status quo on that, or how's that work?
Yeah, we've been fortunate here at A&M that our administration throughout the whole time I've been here has really channeled resources to our student athletes' mental health and emotional health, and starting with Dr. Marianne Covey, my first year here. She's the director of our Student Counseling Center, and what she's done for all these 26 years that I've been here, phenomenal. And she's the one that tied into our athletics department. And as, you know, an administrator there and psychologist to come over and work with our student athletes, and then to really put this system in place. Those are her people now here that are working with us. So I think our department has been ahead of the curve, and we have a sports psychologist in Lauren Craig who's really good at her job, and she spends a lot more time over here and with our players than I think ever in the past. And I think a lot of those conversations have little to do with softball and performance, and probably more to do with how do I process all this pressure that I feel in my life trying to manage everything. So I don't know. I think, you know, for some reason they just feel a lot more pressure now than they ever have, and it kind of breaks my heart for them, because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be the time of your life, and you know, to know that they're suffering is challenging.
One last thing, those seniors, can they come back for another year, or they've talked about that, or what about that?
Yeah, so we've got Haley Lee coming back for another year, Mackenzie Herzog back for another year, and then Morgan Smith, likely. We're working on that right now, because she's in grad school and trying to figure out financially what works. Do I work in a lab? Do I play softball? I mean, these are, like, this is a kid who's now making, like, adult grown-up decisions, and I think it's going to work out. And so I think that's a testament to those players and to the culture of our program, that they all have another year, and they're choosing to come back and have this experience for another year. All right.